discussions, I want you to think of this acronym, BAR. I don't want you to go to the bar. I want you to think of the acronym. And step one is I want you to take a deep breath. Everyone here, please take a deep breath. When you take a deep breath, what happens? Calms you down. It's that simple. Step two is I want you to acknowledge what the other person has said. In order for me to acknowledge what you have said, do I have to agree with you? Nope. Critical distinction. We all want to be heard. We all want to be heard. So just acknowledging and not necessarily agreeing makes a big difference. And step three is to respond. So let me give you an illustration. I was doing a day-long training. And after I shared that I am lesbian, this one person got up. And you could tell he was really impacted around the religious intersections. Okay? And this is where our intersections around identity start to get challenging. So he stood up and he told me I was going to hell, that I was a sinner. You kind of see the direction of this, right? So I needed to take a deep breath. Now, don't make an event out of this, like, because that sends a different message, correct? So I took my breath. Now I had to acknowledge what he has said. So I said, you know what? I really need to acknowledge that it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of chutzpah for you to say that. Do the rest of you agree? And they're like, and I said, in fact, you're probably not the only one in this room who believes that. And even if you are, there are a gazillion people outside this room who would agree with you. In fact, I grew up hearing and believing many of the same things you just shared. Now, did I do a good job of acknowledging him? Outstanding. And so now it's my turn to respond. And I said, you know, our perspectives on this particular issue couldn't be more different. Why might I have said on this particular issue? I don't want to make a bigger division because there is something that we have in common. In fact, there is probably a lot we have in common. But sometimes the one thing that we don't is a deal breaker. Now, he and I are never going to be best buds, okay? The divide is just too big. However, a level of civility. Like there has to be something that we can tether to one another. It might be, you know, a sports team, you know, how about those socks? Or it could be music. Or it could be that, you know, your kids play on the same soccer team. Or whatever. But I know you can find something in common with everyone. And you have to hang on to that. Why? Because at the very level, at the very bottom, civility sometimes is the best. But what we happen too much is we do this process in reverse, which is not so good. Instead, step one, instead of respond, what do we do that begins with an R? React. What's the difference between respond and react? There it is. It's all about thought. When we react, it's more visceral, right? Whereas responding is more thoughtful. Step two, instead of acknowledge, what do we do that begins with an A? Yeah, a woman after my own heart. Attack, right? And then we get around to breathing. Ever done this? So here's your choice. I talk about raising the bar of civility and communication. This BAR has changed the quality of my life. You have a choice here. I want you to take one more deep breath. But when you take it this time, I want you to try to speak. Go for it. It's not happening, is it? You see, taking a deep breath should be our default setting. Why? Because first, it calms you down at a time you probably need to be calm. Two, It buys you enough time to have that one thought so you don't act out of emotions. And 3, it is impossible for you to say anything you might regret.